Her male best friend mocked me at dinner. She could do way better than you. I shut him down in front of everybody. She snapped, apologize, or we are over. I smiled. I didn't say anything, but when she got home weeks later, she finally realized what done truly means. For 3 years, my life with Emily was wonderful, wonderful indeed. I'm a lawyer, so my day job involves essentially navigating through the worst parts of human nature. Coming home to her was like having a breath of fresh air. She was a legal assistant, intelligent as a whip, and had the determination in her to go to law school and make a name for herself. I liked that about her. We were a team planning a life in a house I would spend years fixing. It felt real, sincere. I was not just paying bills for a girlfriend. I was investing in the lady I was about to get married to. But there was always this static, a low-level hum of things not being quite right. And that static had a name, Peter. Peter was her best friend from university. He was a graphic designer, one of those men who considers himself a talented artist and behaves like working a 9-to-5 is a fate worse than death. At that moment, he was designing menus for eatery joints to barely make his rent. To hear Emily tell it, he was her ride or die, her romantic soulmate, the man who protected her. For me, he was a parasite with an aura of superiority, and he had made it his life's purpose to destroy our relationship. He was a professional at it. I will give him that. He never did something you could call him out on directly. It was all discreet digs. Small poison darts concealed as compliments. Her ex-boyfriend, Nathan, a singer who had broken her heart, was his favorite topic. If I took Emily on an enjoyable vacation to Mexico, Peter would find a means to bring up some unplanned camping trip he and Emily took once. "Remember that, Emily," he would say, all nostalgic. "You can't plan situations like that. You just have to be a person who gets your free spirit." The perspective was always the same. I was the dull, safe choice, and he was the gatekeeper to the thrilling life she was leaving behind. And Emily? She took it with a spoon. She was completely fooled by his best friend act. Whenever I'd even suggest that he was out of line, she'd become defensive. He is just being Peter. He was there for me when Nathan broke my heart. He is just worried about me. He has family, John. I'm a gentleman. You have to be in my domain of work. You don't jump on the first point of evidence. You wait. You let the other side speak. You let them make their own case against themselves. And you wait for them to give you the rope. I waited for Peter to give me the rope. The time came a month ago. I just won the biggest case of my professional life. 6 months of my existence were gone. Many sleepless nights and weekends spent covered in paperwork. But we won, and it was a major event for my firm and for me. To celebrate the occasion, I organized a dinner party. My best friends, the ones who had rarely seen me for half a year, were all there. And because I was still trying to be a nice person, I told Emily to invite her friends, which obviously meant Peter was coming. The night was wonderful. The house was filled with wonderful individuals. The costly wine I'd been saving was open, and I was truly relaxing for the very first time in what felt like forever. Peter, certainly, was soaking up the free drinks and behaving like he jointly owned the place. He had a few drinks in him and decided it was time for a performance. He started on some long, dull tangent about an art display, which turned out to be just an excuse to speak about the difference between creators and suits. "It's just another method of perceiving the world," he said, staring directly at me. "Some of us are motivated by enthusiasm, by art. Other people are more realistic." He took a long, slow sip of my wine. My friends understood his game and were sending him looks that could coagulate milk. I just gave him a stiff smile and refused to engage. But he was not done. He turned to Emily, putting on his best concerned friend face. "I just hope you are happy, Emily," he said, his voice oozing with fake honesty. "I mean, John is a wonderful man. He is stable. He's a provider. He's trustworthy. He said, trustworthy, like it was a dirty word. Then he paused, looked me straight in the eye, and let a smug little smile spread on his face. But you have got to admit, she could do way better than you. And there it was. The rope. The entire table became silent. You could have heard a pin drop. My friends looked like they were ready to physically prevent themselves from jumping across the table. Emily just stared at her plate, embarrassed. She wasn't angry with him. She was only embarrassed that he had created a scene. That was the time when the focus snapped into place for me. The picture was getting crystal clear. The patient lawyer was gone. The man who had just been severely humiliated in his own home, in front of his friends, by a man who was living off his kindness, was now controlling the show. I placed my fork and knife down quite slowly. I placed my hands on the table and locked my eyes on Peter. The friendly host left the residence. The prosecutor has just taken his position at the podium. That's a bold claim, Peter, I said. My voice was uncomfortably quiet. I'm interested in your point of view. From your professional point of view, what does a better man for Emily look like? Please be specific. Lay out the conditions for me. Peter was totally thrown. He was set up for a screaming match. He wasn't prepared for a calm, meticulous cross-examination. Well, you know, he said. Somebody more on her level. A creative. Somebody who gets her. I see, I said, smiling. So, the primary requirement is being creative. An interesting theory, and I believe you see yourself as fitting this description. I think I understand her better than anybody else, he said, puffing out his chest. That's fantastic, I said. So, you're the gold standard. Let us look into that. Let's add a couple extra aspects to this study. Let's talk about something more real than vibes. Let's speak about making investments. As every person here knows, Emily is in her second year of law school. It's a top-tier system with a price tag to match. I'm paying for that, the entire thing. It's a significant investment of faith, definitely, but it's also an investment of faith. Faith in her and faith in our future together. Therefore, my question for you, Peter, as the self-proclaimed gold standard of what's good for Emily, is this: what investments have you made in her future recently other than your constant negative opinions of me? Peter's face became white. Emily shot me a frantic look. John, don't do this, she whispered. I held up a hand to silence her, my eyes still locked on Peter. I'm not finished. Let's talk about the car she uses. It's good. It's reliable. It takes her to school and back. I bought it for her. Now, you have a car, too, right, Peter? A cool small convertible that appears to break down frequently. In fact, Emily has had to lend you money for maintenance at least 3 times in the previous 6 months, hasn't she? Money that she withdrew from the joint account that, by the way, I'm the only one that contributes to. Therefore, in a very real way, Peter, I'm not just making an investment in Emily's future. I'm also paying to keep your small hipster mobile on the road. You're welcome. One of my friends at the table literally burst out with laughter before concealing it with a cough. Peter looked like he'd been assaulted. And lastly, I said, leaning forward, my voice softening, let us talk about this house, the roof over her head. I own it. I pay the mortgage. I repair the things that are damaged. You, on the other hand, have been late on your rent so frequently that Emily has had to make up for you, again with money that I made. So, let me just summarize your case for the jury. I mean, for the table itself. Your perspective is that a man who provides a stable home, a reliable automobile, and a fully paid top-tier educational institution is an inferior choice for Emily. And that a better guy, by your standard, is someone who is a financial black hole, who empties her resources, and who repays her generosity by continually trying to undermine her relationship out of what can only be a painful, apparent, and really creepy obsession. Is it a fair and accurate definition of your position, Peter? I leaned back. The final argument was concluded. The room was completely silent. Peter was a broken man, someone who had just been torn to pieces on the stand. He just sat there, embarrassed, unable to say anything. I looked at my friends, who were all looking at Peter with blatant scorn. Then I looked at Emily. Her facial expression was an eruption of emotions. But the one that won, the one that broke through the surprise and humiliation, was not relief. It wasn't appreciation. It was pure, white-hot anger. She got up from her seat, the legs scraping furiously against the floor. Her entire body was shaking. "I can't believe you just did that," she screamed. "You embarrassed him in front of everybody." "He embarrassed himself, Emily," I said, my voice drained now. "I have only presented the evidence." "Apologize to him," she demanded, her eyes shining with a flame that was directed straight at me. "Right now. Apologize to my best friend for what you just did. Apologize, or we are done." And there it was, the threat, the final piece of evidence. She was standing close to the devastation of a guy who had just been exposed as a manipulative parasite, and she was protecting him. She was choosing him. The affection I had for her didn't just die a natural death, it was killed. I looked at her, and for the very first time, I saw her with complete clarity. I didn't get angry. I didn't scream. I just smiled, a small, sad, and totally final smile. I didn't say anything else. I stood up, picked up my wine glass, and moved into the kitchen, leaving her standing alone in the quiet dining room. The case was closed.